Welcome to this Delphin World video. In May of 2005, I presented an online webinar called Instant Manifestation. There were less than 100 people on that live presentation, and I did not record that original webinar, but someone else captured the audio track and posted it online. It has since been uploaded on various YouTube channels, and those bootleg recordings have been listened to by more than 2 million people. Since it has attracted so much attention, I decided to re-record a newer version for you. This 2019 version is not an exact replication of that original recording. It is a substantially new version, and although it contains the same major points I made 14 and a half years ago and has the same essential flow, this update is a bit more expansive than the original live presentation. I have been writing about, speaking on stage about, mentoring and coaching people about empowerment principles and the conscious creation of success and the process of manifestation for over a quarter of a century. In other words, I've been talking to people about how to make established ideals show up as actualities in their lives. And this piece is also about how to make your dreams and ambitions come true. All right, before we get started with all that, I want to say a few things about why I called this piece originally Instant Manifestation. The key understanding that we need to come to when we're dealing with manifestation is that we are always, and in every single moment of our lives, instantly manifesting our current reality. Everything that you have in your life right now is being manifested in this current moment. So you are already masters of instant manifestation. The repetitive thoughts that you held, the beliefs that you held and still hold, the feelings that you express, the ideals that you hold on to, the intentions that you bring to everything that you are and do in life result in what you have in your current reality picture. All that stuff that is held in your mind and determined by the activities of your mind is producing your current reality picture, and that is instant manifestation. The good news is that if you're not satisfied with your current situation, you can, at any time, change it simply by changing your mind. So let's expand on that a bit. Cognitive scientists tell us that we have about 60,000 thoughts per day. And I am willing to bet that you are unaware of 95% of those thoughts. I am also willing to bet that 75% of those thoughts are on a repetitive tape loop. In other words, most of your thoughts are both unconscious and repetitives. Your thought patterns are on automatic pilot. If you have ever stopped and paid attention to the thoughts that are running through your mind, I know that you will find that to be true. Our thought patterns are on automatic pilot. The question that arises then is, who is in control of setting the direction and destination that automatic pilot is set to? The answer is that unless and until you decide to take conscious control, it is your subconscious mind, with its previously installed mental programs, who is in charge of running that 24/7 non-stop background chatter of 60,000 thoughts per day. Since the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your life, it is kind of important that you learn to use your conscious mind to direct the subconscious mind, to adjust that tape loop of self-talk in order to produce the results you desire to have in life. The first step in the process of conscious and intentional manifestation is to take charge of what you think about and begin to intentionally focus your thinking on the ideals you have set for yourself. Your conscious mind needs to take charge and set that automatic pilot to head towards the direction you wish to go. However, it is not just what you choose to think about that serves to determine the results that show up in your life. It is also how you choose to think about what you think about and why you choose to think certain thoughts. We will get to the why in a moment, but first let's examine the how. How we think about certain things is critically important because it points to our fundamental beliefs. How we think about anything arises from our beliefs and ingrained perspectives. If, for example, I were to ask you what you think about money, you would be just as likely to tell me how you think about money as you would be to tell me what you think about money. And yes, there is a distinct difference. Let's take a look at a simple change in how you think about money will allow you to become a money magnet. And just before we do that, I'm going to show you kind of a neat little picture here. Many times, when I coach people and ask them what they want to achieve in our coaching sessions, they will say to me that they want to be wealthy. I then ask, well, then what does wealthy mean to you? And for those who are focused on money, they usually say something like, I want to become a millionaire. Now, they don't really have any conception of what it is to be a millionaire or how much money $1 million is. It is just this idea they have about being a millionaire. So I wanted to show you this picture, which is a picture of $100 bills bundled and stacked up to become $1 million. And this is what it looks like. This slide right here. This image probably stirs up some feelings for you that, if examined, will tell you how you think about money. But let me put some thoughts to you about what money actually is. The actual worth of this pile of paper and ink is less than $100. And that includes the cost of the paper, the cost of the ink, and the cost of amortizing the printing, the plates, the factory, the employees, and everything else, including the distribution of these bills into the bank machines where you pull out your cash. The whole cost of that $1 million is less than $100. Think about that. All right. So the idea that $1 million equates to wealth is really just a fantasy, just an illusion. All that paper and ink is really just an agreed upon method of exchange, an agreed upon method of assigning value to something. That $1 million you're looking at right now on that slide is actually worth less than $100, but we all believe it to be worth $1 million. And it could actually be worth absolutely nothing to you, even if you had it. I mean, if that $1 million is hidden in your mattress or parked in your closet collecting dust, it would be of no value to you at all. None. Not even worth the $100 of paper and ink. The potential worth, however, of that $1 million is really whatever you can imagine it to be. I mean, if you're altruistic, you can imagine what $1 million would do taken into a very poor country and distributed amongst the people who were desperate for food, clothing, and shelter. You can probably also imagine the value it would be to have it in your own life to spend on necessities and luxuries. There is an extreme amount of potential value in some simple pieces of paper with ink on them. Now, because the value in the money is only potential value and it's not realized until it is expended on something, it is not what you think about money that makes it meaningful and valuable to you. It's how you think about money that matters. So the potential value is open to imagination, and the actual value is only in how it is utilized. And that is the same with knowledge. Knowledge by itself is only a dust collector. All the great libraries in the world sitting there, including the Library of Congress, all the information on the internet, all that knowledge by itself is of no value unless it is put to practical use. And I keep affirming that to everybody all the time. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how educated you are. I don't care how well you know the principles of self-help and wealth creation. unless you actually make the application, it is all useless. So please understand that collecting the knowledge and taking it in, memorizing all the things that you can learn on websites like this one, or by reading great books, or whatever, is of no value to you unless you're prepared to apply it directly to your life in the day-to-day way that you go about living your life. All right, let's get back to thinking about money and how a simple change of thought can make you into a money magnet. This is what we need to understand. Money is best understood as a type of energy. At rest, it is merely potential energy, like a lump of coal. In motion, doing things, it is like kinetic energy. It acts on things to produce secondary effects. But money is best understood as being like electromagnetic energy. It is vibrational. Vibrational energy is either harmonious, like music, or discordant, like cacophony. That which is harmonious is attractive. So in order to be a money magnet, to be attractive to money, you need to learn to vibrate in harmony with the energy that is money. And then you will naturally become a money magnet because you will start attracting it into your life. So you need to stop thinking about money as being anything except energy. Don't think of it as being security. Don't think of it as being wealth. Don't think of it as being freedom or any of the other things that people traditionally associate with money. Start thinking of money as purely being energy and understand that you can learn how to vibrate in harmony with that energy. Start by doing little things. For example, in order to increase your belief levels that you are a money magnet, start imagining that every single day money is coming into you, one way or another. And please don't define how that will happen because that's a huge mistake. Simply imagine, visualize, and believe that money will start coming into your life. Real, expendable currency will start coming into your life one way or another, which you refuse to define. All right. And you will find simple little things, like you'll be walking down the street and there's $1 lying there. Okay, that's just a little bit of proof. And the universe will supply you with little bits of proof until your belief levels expand, and then the bigger levels of proof will start showing up in your life. I mean, seriously big levels of proof. And one day you'll be walking down the street or sitting on a train, and someone will come along with an opportunity that will make it possible for you to manifest $1 million. That same pile of money we were just looking at. Okay, so here's this one little trick. The inside secret about knowing how to change one thing in your mind in order to start becoming a magnetic master of instant manifestation. And it is this: learn how to become grateful in advance for having something. So when you set an ideal for yourself, become grateful for already having it. Now, your mind is going to resist this process, and it's going to supply you with all kinds of excuses as to why you can't be grateful yet because it hasn't shown up in your life yet. But the trick is to actually be grateful in advance for already having something. That's something you are holding as an ideal. Okay, and you can start this process simply by being grateful for being able to create the ideal, hold the ideal, attach your passionate desire to have the ideal show up, and being able to do the things that will help that ideal become manifested. Be grateful for your ability to do just that. So, you're grateful for your ability to consciously create a specific desired ideal. You're grateful for your mind that can conceive of this ideal. And then slowly but surely, you'll be able to convince yourself to become grateful for already having that which you hold as an ideal. And as soon as you can do that, you have played this monstrous great trick on your subconscious. And your subconscious becomes a firm believer in the fact that you already have that ideal. And it gets a little confused by the fact that it is not yet in your life. And as a consequence, it does everything in its power to make that ideal come true for you. And it will happen very quickly as soon as you learn that simple trick of being grateful for already having that which you idealize and desire to show up in your life. So always, always, always in this present moment, be grateful for already having your ideals. Don't ever make the mistake of saying, tomorrow it's going to happen, or next month it's going to happen, or next year, or when I do a certain number of things, this is going to show up in my life, and then I will be grateful for having it. The trick is to be grateful now, in this moment, for already having that which you hold as an ideal. And then magically, you will become attractive. You will become magnetic. You will become the great attractor that pulls stuff towards you to make your ideals come true. The people, the resources, the finances, the tools, and technology, whatever it is that you need to have show up in your life, will start to show up very, very quickly. And the great thing is that because as things grow in mass and energy, they become even more attractive. The gravity, for example, of the sun is a lot bigger than the gravity of a simple asteroid because it has more mass. It's putting out more attractiveness. It is more magnetic. And as a consequence, more things get attracted to it. Comets from millions and millions of miles away swing around in orbit around the sun because of that great attractiveness, the great gravity pull of the sun. And the more mass you build up, the more things will become attracted to you. It's a growing process. The more attractive you become, the more attractive you become. Learn to be grateful in advance, and you will become a lot more attractive. All right, so gratitude is the magic key. You start the process with conceptualization and intentionality. You create the vision. It's what I call envisioneering. You then attach that profound desire, that incredible passion to have that ideal be a part of your life. And you become grateful for having that ideal. You then commit to becoming what you need to become in order to have what you desire to have. You become in order to be able to accomplish, in order to be able to have. Simple formula. Be, do, have. And then you form plans and you work at enacting those plans. But here's the mistake most people make when they're making plans. They make these plans and then they go about doing the things that they believe are necessary for those plans to become a reality. But they lock out the possibility that the ideal is going to show up in a way that they had not planned. And quite often, this is what happens. While you're doing what you're doing that you believe is necessary to do for something to show up, it shows up from another direction. And if you are not open to that possibility, it cannot happen. So allow for infinite potentiality to provide the mechanism whereby your ideals are made manifest. That does not mean that you do not need to do things. That is absolutely wrong. Some people will say that you can sit in a cave in Tibet, and if you're really good at instant manifestation, all you have to do is idealize, attach the passion, the desire, and hold the vision firm, and it'll show up. That the world will come marching to your cave, and it will show up. That is absolutely wrong. You actually do need to do stuff, but you need to be unattached to the method of your ideals showing up. Your doingness, in other words, is simply the proof of your commitment to your ideal, and the universe responds to your commitment by supplying your ideal, not necessarily as a direct result of your actions. That's the key understanding. You still need to do the doing, but the doing may not directly produce the results. The results will show up one way or another, maybe and only maybe as a direct result of your doing. But if you do not do the doing, the universe does not believe that you are committed to your ideal. So you still have to do the doing. Now, forgive the pun, but we're going to get into something with a little more depth here. That picture that you see in front of you right now is an iceberg. And it's an incredible picture. I just love those pictures where the camera lens is half underwater and half above the waterline like this. You can see the top of the iceberg up in the sky, and you can see the whole bottom of the iceberg down in the water. And I am going to use this iceberg picture that you have in front of you to explain how you are connected to the infinite. If you will follow me on this, please. That piece of the iceberg that is sticking out of the water and is visible to every boat that is sailing by and every bird that is flying by, every airplane in the sky that goes close enough so that the people can look out the windows and see the top of that iceberg, that top part represents your conscious mind, that normal, everyday, waking consciousness that you use to perceive your reality. The part of the iceberg that is under the water is your subconscious mind, that part of your consciousness that you are not normally aware of. That larger part of the iceberg represents that. And you can see that typically in these explanations that 90% of the iceberg is below the water and 10% is above. And that is about the same as the relationship between your conscious and subconscious minds. But here is the bigger reality picture. The bottom part of that iceberg is floating in the ocean, and that ocean is water, the same as that ice, which is simply crystallized water. And you, as an individual, are crystallized out of the ocean of infinite potentiality, of universality. Consequently, we individuals have infinite potential. That's an enormous understanding. Infinite potential, not limited by anything except your own sense of self. Now, normally speaking, we humans set limits on what our potential is, and limits on what our accomplishments can be, limits on the self-designed description of who we are and what we're capable of. But the reality is that we have infinite potential. Each of us has infinite potential. And the other secondary reality that is really critical to understanding and getting your head wrapped around is that the universe, what I like to call universe, the way it's spelled on the screen here, desires your success. In fact, it desires your success more than you do, much more than you do. If you don't want to call it universe like I spelled it here for you, you can call it by whatever name makes you feel comfortable, whether it's universal consciousness or infinite intelligence or God or creator or whatever you want to call that ultimate creative responsibility for everything that exists. It is desiring your success more than you do. In order to understand that, you need to spend some time each and every day focusing on your connection to the infinite. Okay, let's recap. All that is existent and all that can potentially be, all that can be imagined, has been or will be crystallized out of that ocean of pure potentiality. So the power of your creativity, your ability to make manifest your ideals, lies in your connection to that infinite sea of potentiality from which all things, existent and potential, arise. So get connected. Here's a simple exercise for you to get connected and eliminate any limiting beliefs. Simply sit in stillness with your eyes closed and visualize yourself for 5 minutes as floating in that sea of infinite potentiality where the greater part of you is immersed in the infinite. And then move your attention to your defined ideals and feel what it is like to have those ideals present in your life. Immerse yourself in that feeling. Know that there is an incredible amount of power and creativity there in that infinite sea that you are intimately connected to. And know that it is desirous of your success. Your job is to create the ideal. Your job is to attach the passion. Then go through the process of planning and enacting, and then allow that infinite potentiality, that infinite power, that infinite creative expression to use you as the channel of its own urge to create. Understand this. You are the individualization of the universal, and as such are the channel through which the differentiation of pure potentiality of the universal consciousness is made manifest. And you get to choose what that particular reality is by holding the ideal. It's really all about being in the flow. Life is constantly unfolding and outflowing from this source of all power, and you need to see that you are the channel through which this energy passes. Now, most of us in our daily lives are so programmed to believe otherwise and to behave otherwise that we often choose to ignore or resist this flow from the universal through the individual into manifest reality. But you can make another choice, and that is to relax and go with the flow and allow the universal to use you as a channel to make things manifest in the real world. That's how painters get to paint, and Beethoven got to create his music. He allowed himself to be a channel. When I was a kid listening to Beethoven and all the other classical recordings that my parents had around for us to listen to as children, I always imagined that Beethoven was capable of hearing the music that the sun was broadcasting. That's how he got inspired to write his symphonies. He was translating sunlight into music. And that was kind of a neat little trick to think of as a kid. But the reality is that people like Beethoven, and even John Lennon for that matter, are simply allowing themselves to be the channel whereby the infinite can express itself in the actuality of creation. And because we are so blessed as human creatures to be conscious and to be able to be aware of being conscious at the same time, we can make choices about what we think, what we feel, what we desire, and what we believe, and what we hold as an ideal. And those choices enable us to be creative and to allow that great creativity that is part of this existence we have to flow through us. Okay, so you can choose to participate and contribute, actually contribute to the growth of universal consciousness by allowing yourself to be the channel for its own creativity. And you can choose to become more and to exercise your ability to be creative by making that simple choice to constantly move towards becoming more attuned to the source of all. And once you become more, then you can also share the more that you are with other people. And then when you begin that process, you become even more, and you end up having more in your life. And that's the whole attitude of service and the whole truth behind the statement. That is, if you only ever figure out how to create more value for other people, you will end up with more valuables. So be willing to give more to yourself first, and then be willing to give the more that you are to other people, and you will end up having more in your life. You need to understand that all power and all things that are existent in the universe and all things that are not yet existent but only imagined exist within this universal infinite consciousness, and everything is possible. Everything that can be thought of in your imagination is a real possibility, and you make it into a probability by your belief in it, and you make it into a reality by your gratitude for already having it. That's how it works. I said earlier that we would return to why you think what you think. We briefly covered what you think and how you think, using money as an example. Let's look at it now generically. Think of what you think as data points. Think of how you think as the value you place on those data points or the way you interpret those data points. Now we're going to examine why you even place your attention on those data points instead of any other set of data points. Why do you think what you think? Why are those certain 60,000 random thoughts replaying themselves in your subconscious instead of any other random 60,000 thoughts that could be doing that? Why also do you think consciously what and how you think about whatever data points your attention is drawn towards? This is perhaps the most important understanding you need to acquire, so please do not take the brevity of my explanation here as relative to how critically important this subject of why you think about what you think truly is. This subject is covered with more depth in the Empowerment 101 course available to you here on Delphin World, and it is also a thematic thread that runs through many of the other video courses that are here for you. Human psychology is a deep, deep subject, and we are only going to skim the surface here. Anyway, let's first talk about why your subconscious has all that noise running in the background, that continuous tape loop of self-talk. This self-talk is a layered set of narratives about the very nature of reality that you have adopted. Now, your current narrative about what it means to be alive is ingrained and automatic. And so long as it is unexamined, it controls how you perceive reality and how you go about living within that adopted reality picture. You came into this world as essentially a blank slate, a mostly empty mind. Immediately, you began acquiring information, those data points. Some of those data points were acquired through environmental feedback provided by your sensory input. Much of it was acquired over time by imposition, that is to say, by the education you received from parents, teachers, other people, and societal groupthink. All that stuff was written on that blank slate. Your empty mind was filled up with data points. And although much of it was necessary for you to be able to cope with the basic essentials of life, much of it was non-productive trivia, and much was even false or misleading information. All of the stuff that was reinforced time and time again became that tape loop of self-talk that explains what the world means to you. So while much of it was necessary and productive programming, much of it is outdated, non-productive programming, and lots of it is downright detrimental and works to inhibit your ability to self-actualize and to produce a successful and fulfilling life. Okay, that is a very brief look at why you have certain subconscious thoughts rattling around in your mind. To be empowered, you will need to learn how to replace that non-productive and detrimental thought processes with thoughts that do empower you. For that work, I will again refer you to the Empowerment 101 course that is here for you. And now, to your conscious thought processes. Only you can say why you think what you think. If you are like most folks, you probably have not ever asked yourself why you think the way you think about the things you do think about. All I am going to do for you here is leave you some questions for you to ask yourself. Why do you think about what you think about? To what end? What are you placing your attention on? Why? Pick any subject. Why do you think about it the way you think about it? How does that serve you? Or does it serve to enforce limitations? Do you want to change your life? This one process will produce radical change in your life. Every once in a while, throughout each and every day, stop and ask yourself why you were thinking in that moment exactly what you were thinking. What exactly was your intention in thinking those thoughts? Do those thoughts serve you in any way to produce success, fulfillment, and happiness? If not, then why on earth are you allowing yourself to think that way? Start thinking intentionally about stuff that actually serves you. Your thoughts create your reality. Pay attention. Apply intention. All right, let's move on. Time for one last image I want to leave you with. You are constantly broadcasting your message out into the universe, and the universe responds to that message. What is your message? Why are you sending that message? All right, it's time to bring this to a close. What you have in your life now is a direct manifestation of what you have imagined as being possible, believed in as a probable outcome, and then expected to show up as a result of the way things work in life. All those choices of thought happen in your mind. It becomes obvious then that if you desire different results, you need to change your mind, to expand your imagination, to upgrade your beliefs, and to teach yourself to expect bigger, better results. Conscious creation or deliberate manifestation begins in the mind. If you desire to upgrade your life, you need to upgrade the content and activities of your mind. That is why this website exists, to provide you the information and the tools to make that upgrade, to empower you to create a bigger, better, bolder life. Okay, thank you for your attention. I hope to see you on the path forward. Ciao for now.